Hello there. Today is day 7 of working on Untitled Project. So let's hop right in. So I swapped the physics to use the normal update loop instead of fixed update. For some reason this required retuning the physics on all the enemies. So I'm not sure what was up with that. It should have been about the same, but it's about where it was previously, or a little bit off, but still feeling alright. The player now uses physics, so no more glitching straight through walls and enemies. I couldn't do that before, if you recall, because the fixed update and the camera motion looked really jank together. You know, they would just be stuttering. And I didn't want to tie the camera motion to fixed update, so this was the solution, was to swap physics to use the normal update. I added in a freeze Y position script because for some reason the rigid bodies were getting just slightly off on the Y-axis, so like if I ran into the bud here, like I'd end up just ever so slightly changing my y-axis position, and that would cause the projectiles to, if you aimed like over here, the projectiles would then hit the ground early and die. So that was bad, and I didn't like that because the player would be pointing slightly downwards because it was slightly above the ground. So I'm just fixing everything to 0 manually every frame. That'll still probably cause some bugs, but it should be fine. The beam weapon is a bit bigger. There are also now little health pickups that drop from the buds. That heals more than I would call it healing. I need to tune that a bit. It shouldn't heal that much right now. That's not what I set it to just before the recording. That should be nice if you run into a cluster of them during a level. You can just heal up somewhat. I changed the material for enemy projectiles, so they're easier to see. I also resized most of the projectiles so that they're easier to see and a little bit harder to dodge. The Troju variant of the prototype enemy also has a material change, and it's also much faster, so you can tell them apart more easily. For the projectiles, the Starburst looks much better. Still need to tune the materials just a bit. That probably doesn't show up in the recording. But it's generally just looking a fair bit nicer. There we go. That's a lot better. With the different sizes, you can actually tell them apart now, and that just, especially when you launch them into a cluster like that, it just looks so much better. The next general target is going to be polishing this up a bit more and trying to get this out, like actually out and about to test with other people. So see, where is the fun, if it's there at all, in this current variant of the game. Always need to test early, test often. Probably should have tested before this point, but I'm still on the uptake on that. So polish day incoming, plus I need to design a questionnaire and figure out what I want on that for people. Then I actually need to get it in the hands of other people and make sure that they actually test, because on the previous project I was working on, that I canned temporarily to work on this, I had like 10 people say, yeah, I want a playtest, and then only 2 got back to me, so it would be nice if 15 more did. Anyways, that was the core updates for the game. That took a bit longer than usual, but if you want to hear me ramble and such, feel free to stick around, otherwise feel free to click off. So today there was not much progress. Not much got done today. So the things I have to say about that are, The Hollows is a very good tabletop RPG, tabletop role-playing game, and I recommend it. It's quite interesting. Its combat system is it's just good. I won't go into much detail on it right now, but feel free to look it up. With that said, the play session also took 6 hours, and I am tired. In general, I'm going to need to figure out rest days. I'd like to be a machine and work and upload daily, but that's going to lead to burnout in, pretty short order. So I need to figure out what I'm doing for that at some point. Maybe I'll take short days, or maybe I'll just take fully off days, and maybe I just won't upload on those days. Not sure right now. I'd like to do daily uploads, though. I made a Trello board so I can track ideas a bit better. I've been tracking them in a notepad, but I need a more proper tracker for such things. Yeah. Some notes about the physics, fixed update to normal update stuff. As you can see, I still need to adjust the spawning in these rooms. Yeah, some notes on that. I kept the maximum delta time to 0.05 seconds to avoid physics glitches, if for no other reason, just because in editor I was running into those, and these would just immediately clip into walls at startup in the demo scene, because they had such a big, initial delta time. And that's not good, so I kept that. If the game lags a bunch, this will end poorly, because then the entire game will slow down, but it shouldn't be too much of an issue because the scale of the game isn't that big. Yeah, I could also increase the fixed update to a really absurd number, 100 frames per second, but I don't want to do that because it's going to end up being about the same thing as just tying it to the normal update loop. It's just that, it'll be consistent. Oh, those should despawn. I've only been testing things in the demo scene for the most part, so this is part of why I'm playing the game right now, is just get a sense of where is the game right in this moment. I forgot to put Do Not Disturb on, so you may have heard that sound. But if I change the fixed update to 100 frames per second, maybe that's too much for low-end platforms and not enough for high-end platforms, and setting it to 144 to be up to date with the highest refresh rate for monitors is crazy. I tried setting the physics step to 60 frames per second, and that just did not. That wasn't enough, not nearly. So that's why I just skipped straight to those turn too slowly. That's why I skipped straight to the railgun needs a bit more impact. That's why I skipped straight to just tying the physics to normal update instead of fixed update. The fact that the retuning, I needed to retune all the physics, makes me worry a bit that, oh wow, that's, see, this is why I need better spawn logic. That's not sane. I'll just take everything out of range. Range is a big problem right now. The fact that you can just outrange everything they can't shoot back is, I don't like it. it should be sufficient for testing, but you know, I need to fix that for release, or even future testing. Yeah, the retuning makes me worry that like low-end, high-end platforms will just have different physics because the frame rates will be different. I'm going to need to test this game on low-end hardware, or because I have reasonably high-end hardware. I'm going to need to test this on lower-end hardware and see how that works out, or test it with. So I was scratching my nose. Test it with hardware that. Sorry, not test it on hardware. Test it with manually, like slow the game down. I should probably try and focus on what I'm talking about rather than just doing stuff, but yeah, this is the ramble section, so you're gonna listen to me ramble as I do stuff. Feel free to set to 2x if you like, 2x playback speed. So I'm just gonna have to test it out, see what happens. There may just be no great solution. Maybe the game will just have to run a bit differently, and that's just something I'll have to suffer with, and maybe it won't be that bad, maybe it will be that bad. Worst case scenario, I'm not spending a huge amount on this project, it's only going to be a few months, so I'll either come up with a solution or I won't, and I'll just figure it out. Last note that I have is, the projectiles being bigger means they're harder to dodge. I may need to slow them down a bit more. That's part of what I was testing there. They seem fine right now, but it's something to keep in mind going forward. Yeah, that's everything. If you have comments, questions, ideas, or anything else on your mind, leave a comment below. Thank you for your time. I hope to see you again soon. Take care.